When it comes to PlayStation 4 exclusive titles, I would have to say that my favorite from that system was definitely Spider-Man. Now, I've played a ton of Spider-Man games throughout the years, with classics like the original arcade game, Spider-Man 2 on the GameCube, and of course duds like, well, Spider-Man Web of Fire on the 32X. But Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4 was just a fantastic experience. A huge open New York City to swing through was just so much fun, and the game had great combat as well. So when SpiderMan Miles Morales was announced for the PlayStation 5, I knew that this was the game I wanted to play first on the system. Sure, a PlayStation 4 version of the game does exist, but everything we saw from the PlayStation 5 version of the game just looked absolutely breathtaking. So how is Spider-Man Miles Morales for the PlayStation 5, and is it one of the best launch games ever for a console? Let's find out. The overarching story of Spider-Man Morales takes place after the events of Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, but instead of playing as Peter Parker, you play as a new Spider-Man named Miles Morales. Now, a war has been going on between two opposing forces, Roxxon Energy Company and a vigilante group called the Underground, who is essentially trying to dismantle and take down Roxxon. Of course, not everything is necessarily as it seems, and as you play throughout the game's missions, you uncover a web, no pun intended, that goes way deeper than what's on the surface level. I honestly don't want to ruin the story because I actually really enjoyed it, with some logical twists and turns that made me want to keep playing the game. Now, I'll be honest, my Spider-Man knowledge isn't really all that great, and up until this game, I really had no idea who Miles Morales was, besides the fact that, well, he was another Spider-Man, who of course lost his father in an attack, who was a NYPD member. However, I think Miles is a fantastic character and really embodies a more, almost modern Spider-Man, especially considering the location of the game, New York City. All of the characters that you meet along the way, from friends and family of Miles, all feel really genuine and like actual people living in 2020 in New York City. And I think it actually goes a long way in subtle storytelling that helps bring you into this game more. I actually plan on watching Into the Spider-Verse now just because of how much I enjoyed this character, so kudos on some stellar writing for him. As far as gameplay is concerned, if you played Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4, you pretty much know what to expect from the game, but there are some key differences for Miles. Of course, you still swing through the city at a blistering pace with your webs, doing air tricks, help out with petty crimes, and of course engage in tons of combat. Like the first game, you dodge attacks and counter attacks to build up meters in order to unleash bigger attacks. Miles has an electric ability called Venom Attacks that is the main difference here, and as you play throughout the game, you have the ability to unlock more of these Venom Attacks that take a meter off of your special bar. These are great to use when you're in a sticky situation with a group of enemies and really pack a large punch. Another main addition in this game is a camouflage system that Miles eventually gets access to, that allows him to be more stealthy and avoid enemies, or disappear from a situation when needed. Of course, all of your attacks and whatnot can be upgraded through the menu system in the game by acquiring activity tokens, which are basically a form of payment for doing quests, both main and side in the game. You also discover hidden underground areas as well that will give you tech upgrades because they coincide with each other. In terms of presentation, this is probably one of the best looking games I have ever played in my life, and that's really saying quite a bit. Now, Spider-Man on the PlayStation 4 looked great, but Spider-Man Miles Morales on the PlayStation 5 is absolutely stunning due to the additional power of the PlayStation 5. Character models and animations look and feel much more fluid than in the original game, and there's tons of little intricacies and details that just bring the world of New York City to life. Ray tracing looks great in this game, which gives off real-time shadows and reflections and really just makes everything look and feel a lot more organic. Now, there are two modes in this game that you can play on, one that has an emphasis on performance and one that emphasizes graphics. I actually went with the graphics mode because I wanted to see all of the fancy ray tracing effects which are removed from the performance mode of the game, and I don't feel like I got any sort of a less experience by doing that. The frame rate for graphics mode was rock solid, and I really enjoyed the little things that the graphics mode offered. On the audio side of things, all of the voice work in the game sounds spectacular. You have the usual hustle and bustle sounds of New York as your backdrop, and everything sounds nice and crisp as it should. Now, obviously, I have been gushing quite a bit about this game, but there are a few things I do want to mention that might hold it back a tad bit depending on your stance on this. Now, the main thing to take into account is the length of the game, and honestly, the story mode is pretty short. I actually beat it in one sitting, and it took around 6 hours or so, skipping a lot of the side quests and just focusing mainly on the story. Now, yes, that does sound like a very short experience, and if you are only looking to do the story mode of the game, you might be disappointed with the length, but there are a ton of side missions to do as well within the game. Doing things like the side missions, of course, gives you more tokens to upgrade your character, and some of the suits in the game can only be unlocked by doing some of these side missions. Although I've already beaten the main story of the game, I'm still going back and playing it more because I want to unlock all of these suits and do all the side quests. Now, aside from side quests, there are various collectibles to discover and other things that some may consider to be padding or time filler or something like that, but most of these activities usually sort of flesh out more of the backstory of the characters and the game, that these elements aren't just necessarily thrown into your face. There is also a new game plus mode that has extra things that can only be unlocked in that as well, so there is some incentive to replay it again if you are enjoying the game, which I'm sure you will be. Another thing worth noting is that, like with every open world game, there are a few hiccups here and there within the world itself. A couple times I would try to do an interactive thing with something that you can interact with and the game wouldn't recognize it. Sometimes an enemy might get stuck in a position that they shouldn't be stuck in, little things like that. Now, it doesn't really occur all that often within the game, but like I said, it is just something worth mentioning. At the end of the day though, SpiderMan Miles Morales is honestly a system seller to me for the PlayStation 5. And while yes, it is available on the PlayStation 4 as well, the PlayStation 5 version of the game is simply stunning in terms of what it brings to the table with graphics and performance. It really feels like a next generation experience, and I think it plays like one too. The characters and writing in the game are great, the storytelling is very well done, and while yes, it is a bit on the short side, there's still lots of stuff to do after you complete the main story. And you gotta remember, it's not even a full price game, as this game is selling for just $50. If you are on the fence about buying this for your PlayStation 5, don't be. It's so good that I haven't even opened up my copy of Demon's Souls yet, even though I finished the main game already, because I'm having so much fun discovering the side stuff in the game. It might not be a Mario 64 or Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, but I definitely think it is a stellar launch title for the PlayStation 5 and hopefully is a glimpse into the future of what this system is going to do. So those are my thoughts on SpiderMan Miles Morales for the PlayStation 5. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to let me know in the comments section down below what you think of this game, what you think of the footage I've been showing you, and if you ended up picking up this game on the PlayStation 5, you're going to pick it up on the PlayStation 4, or maybe you have absolutely no interest in SpiderMan Miles Morales, and then I have to ask, well, why'd you watch the video? Like it clearly says we're talking about SpiderMan Miles Morales in this video. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. Also, be sure to check out other videos on the channel as well. We've been doing lots of PlayStation 5 coverage and Xbox Series X coverage on the channel. We have an unboxing of the PlayStation 5, a system review of the PlayStation 5, which kind of breaks down things into more intricate details, and of course we have an Xbox Series X review as well, so make sure you guys check that out. Don't worry, the Switch stuff is still there. Like I said, this channel was never necessarily just built on only Switch stuff. I want to do all things video games, and now that the new consoles are here, that's what we're going to be doing. And as always, guys, I will catch you guys on the next video. Later.